oh, I want IPA, but I don't like hoppy. You're like,
so go pale ale?
You're like, wait, what'd you just order? You know what I mean? Like, you hesitate for a second, right?
What's up, everyone? This is David Hoffman with Sam from Sun Lab Brewing. Today we're trying, what are we trying here?
It's called Love Like This. It is our double dry hop Hazy IPA with huell Melon, Amarillo, and citra hops.
So, and you guys do a lot of IPAs, right?
That is a core staple for our products, yes.
Okay.
Yes, every month we do a brand new Hazy IPA. It always has a new hop combination in it, some kind of fruit added to it, something that kind of just makes it pop.
Okay.
But still with the true classic oat malt, wheat, as well as two-row, just big New England mouthfeel, but with a new hop combo to make sure to keep the market interested and keep it fun, you know?
So if you guys don't know what like a New England IPA looks like, this is what it is.
Yes.
Very cloudy, always looks like, you know, passion fruit, orange juice, tangy, tarty. What's the difference between a New England IPA and like the European version, is the British style?
So the history of it is really just comes down to, we won't go into the history of IPAs, but we'll go into the history of New England's, is really just about unfiltered. You want protein content galore. The whole goal is the more protein in that liquid, the better, you know, the stability is going to be, as well as the actual appearance of the beer when it comes to that haze. You know, because for years the European style wanted clarity. Everything about that was clear beer. Nowadays with America, we want hazy beer. We want to see something that's new, something that's different. So this is where it came to. And on top of that, it's the quantity of dry hop you added to it. So actual hops added to the cold side of fermentation is what really makes that nose and that big aromatic pop.
And so what's the difference between like this guy and a double and a triple? Just more hops, dried hops?
Normally, yes. So that's usually the case. In the case of New England, it's usually the content of alcohol plus the content of hops.
Okay.
But a lot of the time, you can see anything from just the standard New England IPA that has literally like well over 5 pounds per barrel dry hop to it. So I guess at that point you are talking about alcohol if you're going to go double, triple, so on and so forth.
This is beer talk, guys. This is hard.
With the New England, it does come down to the amount of hops that are physically added to the cold side of fermentation, which is called dry hopping. In this case, it's 4 pounds per barrel, so it's a lot of hops are in this beer.
A lot of hops.
So if you smell it, you're going to notice right away. It's just that big nose. It's floral, it's
great.
Juicy. That is what the hops are doing for you here. As opposed to in European style, the hops are adding bitterness and earthiness. We're looking for juice characteristics and aromatics.
Yeah, so you're going to get a lot of juice here.
Exactly.
Hey.
Prost.
Prost.
Cheers. Thanks for having me today.
No problem. Thanks for dropping all this knowledge. It's interesting. Wow.
Right?
So yeah, this is it's not extremely hoppy. It's not a double, but you definitely get the hops.
Exactly. But the hops are not used in the sense of bittering. That's a lot of the time that a lot of people will consider the term hoppy.
Yeah.
But in this case,
too bitter.
Nothing is boiled. So granted, the liquid is boiled, but no hops are boiled. So what ends up happening is you do not create any of those bitter compounds that make the beer bitter. You know what I mean? Like you're literally only getting that juicy plant oil content is what you're drinking here. So that dankness that holds onto the tongue right now, that lingering flavor you're getting, that's the hoppiness.
Okay.
It's just because it's not bittered or not boiled, that's the only flavor you're getting out of the hops. Kind of like cold steeping tea.
So I was gonna say, I do feel a little bit of melon, obviously citrusy. I don't know. The one thing that's really cool is that you were telling me is that this literally came from the brewery. You guys canned it, and it's here 2 days later, right? Or something like that?
Yeah. So right now that was a few days now, but
that's great.
Every time it hits the market, we try to make sure it hits the market within the week of it packaging. Always, every single time.
And where can we find this product?
Right now, you can find it at Clutch Burger, which is actually where we're hanging out right now. Steve is thankful. I'm very thankful that Steve is letting us hang out here, as well as his awesome selection of our beers. But yes, normally, if you're like a Florida individual that travels here a lot, might not know a lot of the local places, I would also like to say Total Wine's a great spot to pick us up.
Okay.
Whole Foods also has us, as well as if you guys are familiar with like the downtown or like Wynwood area in this area, Box Elder always supports us.
Okay, yeah, Box Elder is awesome. So craft beer market.
So anytime you see a craft beer place, you're definitely gonna find our beer.
Okay, great.
For the most part, yep.
To be honest, I mean, he told me about it, and I was like, oh, I have to try because you guys don't have a physical location right now. You're brewing out of other places.
Yes. So we're gypsies.
You're just
right now.
And they actually do this out of South Carolina, right?
Westbrook Brewing Company. Yep.
Okay, and then the water there's different, right? So that changes a little bit the flavors.
Yes.
So obviously it'd be different in the future once you have your spot here, right?
The goal is to not let that happen.
Yeah.
We are hoping to be
Well, you're playing, right? You're playing
true
around
water
with it, right?
scientists, so we are definitely going to put the right filtrations and stuff in place to make sure that we can match the water profile from where we're coming from to where we're going.
Okay.
Which is really our biggest goal when we open up this project, is to make sure that we can have a consistent product that also, you know, the customers know our mouthfeel. They know the way this liquid is supposed to be.
Okay.
And, you know, I know you could talk about hops. I know you could talk about, you know, barley and, like, the way everything kind of came together. But at the end of the day, I need that smooth, rounded mouthfeel when you're drinking these beers. So we're definitely going to have to match that once we come to this market.
I mean, it's very smooth. I don't get the super aftertaste. I mean, you feel it for a second, but it's gone. It's not like too much. It's not too bitter. You know, I still feel it a little bit. I think for this one, I definitely need to eat something.
I would like to call it resonance. I think that's the word I'd like to use for it, because it's like a lingering oiliness on the tongue.
Okay, exactly. It's hard to explain sometimes with the beer. I mean, you can feel the malt, you feel the hops. You know, obviously, there's different, I guess, feelings to every beer, right? And this was 7%, so not crazy, you know, in terms of alcohol percentage, but this is an average IPA has 7,
exactly.
right?
We want it to be comfortable. We want the, you know, the old man drinker to be able to say, you know, give me something that's not going to knock my socks off, you know. And at the same time, we want the younger individuals to come in and, you know, I know a lot of the time that higher ABV is a very big focus. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that we have a product that, you know, once again, you're not getting too gone with it, but at the same time, you know, we're definitely keeping people intrigued.
Yeah, no, it's super nice. And I mean, I like it a lot. I think this one, in terms of IPAs, it's definitely on the lower hops. Like, you know,
interesting. Okay.
It's not like crazy for me. I feel like I drink way too many doubles. That's the problem. I like the doubles. Sometimes they're like 10%. Oh, let's go with a double, you know. But then you feel like just overload. You know, just way too bitter. But this one has all the feelings that I get on an IPA in terms of the juices, right?
Yes, exactly.
This one always has the most flavor, and some people don't know, because some people aren't into craft beer. But like IPA is sort of like the introductory beer to craft beer.
Yes.
Right?
Well, nowadays, years ago, it used to be
pale ale.
I was gonna say it used to be like pale ales or extra special bitters or browns, or, you know, a lot of people would say.
I love browns, by the way.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Brown ale used to be the beer that would convert you from your everyday, you know, my dad's beer to craft beer. Or a porter or a stout. That used to be their beer that was discussed. The biggest thing I've actually heard people tell me, which used to drive me crazy, but nowadays I understand it, was someone used to drink a darker beer of mine and say, wow, that's very stouty. And I was like, ooh, that's not a good pairing.
I guess because
I was like, oh, that's wrong, because they're thinking Guinness, big, they're thinking dark.
Guinness. Well, Guinness was my intro to the craft beer.
So when people told me, oh, that's very stouty, for years I used to be like, oh god, this guy's uneducated, they're this, they're that. And then I finally realized, I put it together, I was like, oh my god, that was the beer to them that wasn't macro, that wasn't big. That was the beer that, like, someone had to physically show up and say, try this. It was almost always a stout or a brown ale or a porter. That was now why people refer to things as stouty, or as, or they'll just say something's hoppy. That's another thing. Yeah. And just because for a long time that was considered craft. You know what I mean?
So when I say hoppy, you say bitter? Is that like...
No, so if you say hoppy, I'm going to ask you on what end.
Oh,
I'm going to say, is it bitter? Is it juicy? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, where is it hoppy?
No, because I had this conversation with my dad, and he's like, you think it's bitter? I'm like, yeah, for sure it's bitter. Like, you feel something of bitterness, but what else is it? It's juicy.
Exactly.
It's full.
So all of the mouthfeel and flavor from that beer, granted that sweetness and a little bit of that grab on the tongue, that's that original, like, pop of sweetness when you drink it, that is definitely from the yeast characteristics, because that yeast actually leaves a lot of fruitiness behind.
Wow.
But that being said, all the other flavors, like I said, that lingering feeling on the tongue, that's the hoppiness. So granted, yes, I know you're referring to it as maybe not the most hoppy because you're thinking bitter, right?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking this is almost too hoppy because it's so oily and so fruity.
You feel
so
the
like
oils.
My point is that it depends on where you're looking at it. So this comes down to the conversation again. Like, I feel like there's a lot of jargon thrown into the conversation when talking about beer that doesn't actually add up to what we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, you know, these terms are referred to as, oh, that's hoppy. It's like, wait,
what do you mean?
Do you mean bitter? And it's like, oh yes, I was talking about bitter. And it's like I'm drinking. I'm like, oh wow, this is very hoppy, right? So same thing. Like I feel like the biggest thing you'll see in the market is, especially with young women, oh, I want IPA, but I don't like hoppy. You're like,
so go pale ale.
You're like, wait, what'd you just order? You know what I mean? Like, you hesitate for a second, right? When you're on the back end of the bar, right? But at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, oh my god, that woman probably drinks nothing but New England IPAs. So if she goes to a bar and says, give me an IPA, but I don't like hoppy, she's thinking, give me something that's not bitter. That's
bitter.
where the term hoppy comes in, as opposed to when talking to like another brewer and you say, hey man, this beer is so hoppy. They're going to sit there and start talking to you about, you know, different things they did to make that beer hoppier, but maybe not in the way that you noticed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's, I guess the terms nowadays are really something that I feel like education coming along as much as it is definitely going to aid in the future, especially from a production and bar back mindset.
And for you, what do you rank this? 1 to 10 stars.
I would give it personally an 8.5.
Okay.
I'm a very big fan of the New England style. Lately, I've definitely been leaning more towards I want just certain things, but when it comes to this beer specifically, this is definitely one of my favorite IPAs we've done in recent months.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I just think it's the best balance between old world and new world. When it comes to, it's got a little bit of a bite to it, but it's still very juicy. But the juiciness isn't so much that it's overly fruity to where a classic beer drinker isn't going to be like, oh, that's too fruity for me, or that's not beer.
I feel like for me, this is probably up there like 7, 8. I mean, it's hard to like rank it. I'd have to try many next to each other to understand, you know, obviously the differences.
Exactly.
This is the hardest part with beer. You know, you really have to put them next to each other like a flight, right? But yeah, I mean, it's smooth, it's easy, it has all the fruits that I like, and it's just sort of well-rounded beer, you know?
Thank you.
I enjoy it.
I appreciate that.
So how many you have for me?
I was gonna say, actually, we have a few more.
I know, he has a lot. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this beer video. So it's Sun Lab. This is their IPA. This is Love Like This. So really nice, juicy beer. My man, thank you. Prost.
Cheers, man.
Thank you. Yeah, once you start drinking 2 or 3 days, you're out for the
That's
count.
the goal, but we want you to get 2 or 3 though. That's the goal. So if it was any more ABV, I think 1 would definitely be where you gotta stop.
It's delicious. I actually can drink another one because it's that like it's not like filling up my body.
Exactly. But at the same time, there is so much on the tongue every sip, right?
Yeah.
That's that hoppiness I'm talking about. Like that.
And I feel it now.
It's
just
so
playing with
much
it.
there, right?
Yeah, so
And
much
like,
there.
Like I said, the word is definitely that I would use for this is resinous. Yeah.
Well, guys, I hope you love this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below if you've ever tried an IPA, if you've ever tried Sun Lab, and yeah, subscribe to my channel for more awesome beer content. Dude.
Oh, cheers, man.
Cheers. You know, give me some of that beer. Give me some of that beer, dude.
We'll split it.
This is great.